What do we do indeed? Well, Sri Lanka last month decided to impose a quarantine curfew to curb the spread. It's not the most popular move the government has made, but was pushed into it by health experts. And it seems to be working, at least on the face of things. There were 2,964 new infections yesterday, a marked decline from the 5,000 plus numbers reported for 10 consecutive days towards the end of last month. In the prevailing situation, various people have been calling on the government to copy-paste the measures adopted in other countries. But the view of the World Health Organization is that the COVID situation in no two countries are alike and need solutions of their own.
And it's when you put strong vaccination program with good personal measures, with support from the government for public health and social measures that are rational, that balance the need of society's freedoms and economic and social freedoms against the need to stop the virus, that you get into that period of good control. Some countries are also struggling to get acceptance for vaccination up to the highest levels, and so each country is in its own set of struggles. Each country is now dealing with almost unique scenarios regarding how they've dealt with the pandemic up to now, what their vaccination level is, what the level of buy-in there is from communities around public health measures, how much support there is for communities to continue those measures. And I don't know right now around the world two countries that are implementing exactly the same policies or are in exactly the same epidemiologic situation.
And Sri Lankan health authorities are taking measures to ensure that the balance between the country's economic activities and virus control measures are struck. The current quarantine curfew in place is proof of this, as the restrictions prevent the general public from gathering in masses, but ensures that essential services operate.
We have been doing this over and over again, and we have found that once we impose strict travel restrictions and strict health guidelines, the disease trend goes down. But once it is relaxed, it goes up again, and this has been repeatedly happening. And at this time, I would like to urge all concerns and all those who are responsible for the controlling and who has authority over different aspects of social and economic life of our country to take specific actions to make sure that once the country is opened back, there will be no environment conducive to spread the disease once again. If we do the same error again, we will be coming back to square one, and then we'll have to start from the beginning. If you do that only, we can make sure that the opening of the country becomes meaningful.
In the meantime, the prevailing COVID situation has led to a new focus on the family planning front. At the outset of the virus outbreak and for a considerable time thereafter, the belief was that COVID did not pose a threat to expectant mothers or the fetus. But that thinking has now changed.
ඩෙල්ටා වේරියන්ට් එක එනකොට දැන් අපි ගන්නේ කොවිඩ් හැදුනොත් ගර්භිණී සමයේ ඒක අධි අවදානම් තත්ත්වයක් විදිහට. දරුවට හානි වෙන්න පුළුවන්, අම්මට හානි වෙන්න පුළුවන්, කොවිඩ් රෝගය උත්සන්න වෙන්න පුළුවන් ගර්භිණී මවකට කොවිඩ් හැදුනොත්. නමුත් මේක ගැන තියෙන දැනුම අපේ සීමා සහිතයි. ඔබ විවාහ වෙලා දරුවෙක් බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා නම්, එහෙම නැත්නම් දරුවන් ඉන්න මවක් නම් නැවත වතාවක් කල්පනා කරලා බලන්න අවුරුද්දකට පෞල් සැලසුමක් පාවිච්චි කරමුද කියලා. අවුරුද්දක් කියන්නේ වෛද්‍ය විද්‍යාවේ ලොකු කාල පරාසයක්. මේ අවුරුද්ද ඇතුළත අපි රෝගය ගැන දන්නවා, අපි රෝගයෙන් ගර්භිණී භාවය ගැන ඇති වෙන ප්‍රශ්න ගැන දන්නවා, දරුවට වෙන ප්‍රශ්න ගැන දන්නවා. ඒ වගේම වැක්සින් එකේ තියෙන අතුරු ආබාධ වෙන්න පුළුවන් ප්‍රශ්න මීට වඩා හොඳ වැක්සින් එකක් අපිට ඉදිරියට එන්නත් ඉඩ තිබෙනවා.
It is just as well that health authorities call for family planning, as the World Health Organization does not see an end to the situation anytime soon. Even when it does, the best the world can hope for is not a holistic end to the pandemic.
If we think about the last pandemic in 2009 of influenza, the predominant strain still transmitting is the virus that caused the pandemic. So I fully expect that this virus will continue to transmit for a very long time. The question is whether it's still causing a public health emergency. And that is determined by how many people it's making severely ill, how many people that virus is killing, and to what extent we've controlled transmission. If we can continue the rollout of vaccines in a more equitable way, if we can keep control on the variants, and we can get to very high herd immunity levels and basically good control measures, then if we can bring the death and the hospitalizations and the tragedy of this pandemic, if we can bring that to an end and we can keep transmission to a very low level, then I consider the pandemic to be over as a public health emergency. But will this virus disappear? No, that's the reality. And it will evolve like previous influenza pandemic viruses. It will evolve to become one of the other viruses that affects us. That's the natural history of these things. The public health emergency is not over yet. That emergency may seem over in some countries, but in many countries, the public health emergency associated with this virus is far from over.
පොකට් එකට ෆිට වෙන new Axe ticket perfume.